Hello and welcome to Dragon Age Inquisition's Codex. Last time we looked at the tales, magic and history, and we started the group section. Today we will finish the group section. So 6 was another one we had to look at. We learned about the Qunari torturing people to get them to follow the Khun again. So we'll see what Qunari Tamasrans are like. Nanny Goodwin lay on the hard stones of the Kirkwall docks until the sailors left with her purse. As he struggled to her feet, a large grey hand reached down to help her. It was one of the Qunari, the great horned giants who had come to live in the city. "I thank you," said Nanny Goodwin, hesitantly, looking for her satchel. "I did not know the docks were so dangerous, or I would have asked for one of Lord G. guards to accompany me as I brought the healing herbs for the children." "You are a Tamasran," said the Qunari. "Under the Khun, no sailor would accost you. Why are you here?" "But I am Lord G's nanny," Nanny Goodwin said, "and Lord G did not believe me when I told him that the children needed healing herbs, so I was forced to buy them myself." "Under the Khun," said the Qunari, "Tamasrans are trusted and listened to when caring for the children, and any healing herbs they needed would be provided. Why did Lord G not attend to your words?" "He is a noble," said Nanny Goodwin, "and I am merely a servant who cares for his children." She shifted her shawl to hide the bruises the sailors had given her, as well as the bruises Lord G himself had given her. Adler. "Under the Khun," said Qunari, "all are equal and no Tamasrian thinks herself a mere anything." Nanny Goodwin bid the Qunari good day and returned to Hightown with much to think about. An excerpt from The Lies of Nobles, The Truth of the Khun, author unknown. So Tamasrans aren't children as I previously thought, they're the people who look after the children. Okay, and they're well respected in Qunari culture. Qunari, Ben Hathraths. Suggesting that all Ben Hathraths are spies is like assuming that all craftsmen are carpenters. The Ben Hathrath form a significant portion of the Qunari priesthood, tending to a variety of tasks within Qunari culture. In Qunari cities, Ben Hathraths serve as something akin to a town guard, investigating anything that disrupts the orderly function of the city. Ben Hathrath educators treat criminals and rebels against the Khun, determining whether they must destroy the subject's mind using a poison known as Quimark. Those they can rehabilitate through treatment and education are later transferred to simple work details. In contested or war-ridden areas, Ben Hathrath coordinate with the Qunari military to track the dreaded Vashoth rebels, a function similar to bounty hunting. Outside Qunari borders, Ben Hathrath agents primarily observe and report. While this may seem underhanded, it is no more than most nations do with their own spies, and the Qunari, perhaps rightly in retrospect, extremely concerned with the danger our culture's comparatively liberated mages pose. Our assumption that all Ben Hathraths are malicious spies bent on bringing Orlais into the Khun have no basis in fact. It is simple prejudice against a race whose appearance unsettles us, compounded by a guilty conscience at seeing how many peasants, especially elves, prefer to live under the Khun to life under our empress. The Qunari are a society of people with a different culture and different values, but people nonetheless, as complex and nuanced as Orlais. An excerpt from The Lion and the Bull, Racial Bias and Oversimplification of Qunari Social Rules in Orlaisian Court. Author unknown, published by the University of Orlais. So, yeah, we're getting a couple different views from the Qunari. This is saying the Khun is just different, and it's not bad, it's not good, it's just a different way of doing things. I can see that. The Circle of Magi. The Circle of Magi was established centuries ago to protect us, and to protect those without magic from the things we might do. No man in his right mind would disagree that these are noble goals. I refuse to believe that the Chantry intended the injustice and oppression we suffered in the intervening years. Segregation of mages from non-mages within Templar-guarded compounds was the best, possibly the only option available. We have recently had to face the stark reality that the system failed us. The Circle of Magi in Ferelden's Kinloch Hold was one of the most liberally run, and even there we saw sedition and dissent, resulting in a failed revolt that nearly destroyed the entire tower. Perhaps stringency could work where leniency failed. I would present Kirkwald's gallows as evidence against such thinking. Knight Commander Meredith's vice griff on the Circle in her care backfired, leaving us where we are now. If the Circles, no matter how they are managed, do not, perhaps cannot function as intended, what is next? There are no easy answers. The events of recent years have forced me to re-examine my views on freedom. As Aquitarians, we have always advocated self-control and cooperation with the Chantry, but this approach may no longer serve. I must consider that our libertarian brothers and sisters had the right of it all along. Look at the strife and chaos that now consumes our worlds. Fighting for independence, for a better system, may not improve our situation, but it cannot make it any worse. A letter from Senior Enchanter Vorman Quinn of Cumberland to her colleague, dated 939 Dragon. So not all the mages... the mages seem to like the ideal of the Circle, from most of what we've heard. Most mages like the thought of a circle. The problem is when it's implemented, it's never implemented quite the right way. And there hasn't been a good solution put forward for what should be done. Or there's not been a better solution than the Circle of Magi put forward, as independence is also awful option. Anyway. The Friends of Red Jenny. The Friends, don't poke them. It's tempting, because what else can you do? But don't. Never know what you'll get, because Red Jenny, she's been around a long time, she's everywhere, and she hits hard, or she hits light. But the choosing ain't up to you. You want someone to get their desserts, save your coppers for a moral crow, and know what you're getting. Notes from Sir Keter, a travelling merchant, to his son Herbal. They're a distraction, whichever they are. Keeps people busy and the Lord's edgy. With the assaults not having any bearing, we've been paid to strike at guest rivals several times now. Bard should pay her a commission. My father went after her once. You want to lose your friends fast? Just say you're tracking her. He found a report that she was killed in Navarra. Everyone in that command, to a man, dead or hobbled or somehow lost their claims during the winter following. Know when that was written? 52 years ago. I'll take a witch over whatever she is. Let her pick at the nobles. I think it's nature. Recommendations of Captain Varn, private militiaman, contracted in Denham. How's it work? You tell me how to tell. Ask for something bad to happen, eventually something does. Did she do it? Doesn't matter, either way you think you had a piece and maybe that's enough. Interview at Monsieur Mar Tavern, no name given. I know it was her. Keys do not simply go missing, and the horses, I suppose they were loosed by quite by accident. And the fires that swept through the southern quarter, and the flooding in my summer house, and the drop in price of trade goods that just happened to coincide with my plans to sell my investments, the cholera I suffered last season, the weather that is inclement wherever I'm travelling. You cannot tell me that all these things were mere happenstance. Perhaps your disbelief is her doing as well. You're dismissed. Everyone is dismissed. Scattered notes of Ban Markle. So yeah, nobody seems to know who Red Jenny is, or if Red Jenny even exists, or what she does. Very interesting person. The Grey Wardens. The Blight had ravaged the land for months. The armies of the kings amassed for one last stand. As the sun burst through the clouds that boiled and churned in the dark sky, it illuminated a vast seething horde of darkspawn with the archdemon at its head. It was then, when courage seemed to fail and all lost to death and despair, that the Grey Wardens came. They arrived with the beating of wings like mighty war drums and stood before the armies of men. The Grey Wardens, grim and fearless, marched forth, ever between men and the encroaching darkspawn. They formed a shield of their own bodies that held the line until the archdemon was dead and the last darkspawn lay trampled in the dirt. Then, demanding neither reward nor recognition for their sacrifice, the Grey Wardens departed. When the clouds rolled back and the sun shone full upon the blighted ground, the great kings knew that they had lost no men, and that none of their blood had been spilled. This is a tale about no battle the Grey Wardens have fought, and yet all about them. About them all. They have defended us from the Darkspawn, taking losses so we do not have to. Adaptation of a Grey Warden legend. The tale outlined above is widely told, although subject to regional variations. Free marchers might substitute great kings for titles bestowed in their given city-states. In Ferelden, the implied army of wardens is sometimes replaced with two representative of the national heroes who fought and defeated the archdemon at Denerim during the Fifth Blight. And the beating of wings is a reference to the griffins the wardens were said to have ridden into battle. Although griffins went extinct long before the recent Blight, they still appear in numerous stories, sometimes serving as a metaphor for the warden's unrestricted courage, but also employed to please an eager audience. From Tales of the Wardens by Sister Manan. The Quinari. The people of the Khun are perhaps the least understood group in Thedas. The Quinari Wars were brutal, but so was the Chantry Schism. So was the fall of the Imperium. Some of this misunderstanding is an accident of nature. The race we call Quinari are formidable. Nature has given them fierce horns and strange eyes, and the ignorant look on them and see monsters. Some is an accident of language. Few among the Khun's people speak the common tongue, and fewer speak it well. In a culture that strives for mastery, to have only a passable degree of skill is humiliating indeed, so they often keep quiet among foreigners out of shame. But much of it is a result of the culture itself. The Quinari view their whole society as a single creature, a living entity whose health and well-being are the responsibility of all. Each individual is only a tiny part of the whole, a drop of blood in its veins, important not for itself but for what it is to the whole creature. Because of this, the Quinari most outsiders meet belong to the army, which the Khun regards as if it was the physical body, arms, legs, eyes, ears, the things a creature needs in order to interact with the world. One cannot get to know a person solely by studying his hand or his foot, so one cannot truly meet the Quinari until one has visited their cities. That is where their mind and their soul dwell. In Saharan and Parvolan, one can truly see the Quinari in their entirety. There, the unification of Quinari into a single being is most evident. Workers, who the Khun call the mind, produce everything the Quinari require. The soul, the priesthood, seeks a greater understanding of the self, the world, and exhorts the body and mind to continually strive for perfection. The body serves as the go-between for the mind and the soul and the world. Everyone and everything has a place decided by the Khun, in which they work for the good of the whole. It is a life of certainty, of equality, if not individuality. From the writings of Seer Kont R. 841 Blessed. The Venatori. I know what you've been telling the others. You mouth the word cult and repeat lies the Chantry has been spewing at us for thousands of years. Look around you, my friend. See what the mighty Tevinter is today, a once proud nation brought low, barely able to hold itself against the Oxman. We neutered our mages at the behest of a foreign religion, exalted their false maker, and became the laughingstock of all Thedas. Now we have a chance to reclaim that which is rightfully ours, but only if we act. We cannot see which way the wind is blowing. We must make it blow. The Venatori are hunters, recruited in secret over several years. We will descend with deadly purpose to spill the blood of the south and make it right for conquest. And when we return to our homeland, it will be as victors, with a new god as our patron. Then the cowards who refuse to aid us will know their mistaken fool. Reported as evidence to the Varanian Council of Magi, Dragon 940. Okay, definitely Tevinter are looking to attack. So, creatures. Read that one. Just seeing what we've got. Okay. Black Wolf. Wait, do we have multiple things here? Looks like it has multiple ticks. Wonder how... Maybe that means we only have partial Codex entry? Maybe? Anyway. Black Wolf. The Scouts report activity uncharacteristic of lupine behaviour. The breach and resulting rifts have caused unprecedented disruptions in the Vale. Such alterations to the environment may account for the unnatural ingression. If this is indeed the case, I cannot yet say how widespread the impact. How many wolves does environmental imbalance influence? What threat do they pose to resistant members of the pack, to the local population? This warrants further investigation. Report submitted to Secret Pentagast by Minev, Mage Apprentice and Inquisitor Researcher. And we have a picture. Cool. Yeah, I think it means we only have partial, because if you look here, that looks like there's a little kind of progress bar, which isn't on the picture. Anyway. Envy. Envy demons are equal parts arrogance and cowardice. They isolate their victims to study them at length, seeking to become them. Once the demon is satisfied, it knows its chosen subject. It takes on their form, leaving the poor soul to rot. Envy is never satisfied, however. The demon's bottomless cravings to be more powerful, more skilled, more inspired, cause it to seek fresh prey, leaving a trail of stolen identities behind. This transition is when envy is its weakest, for it is vulnerable as it moves from body to body, slavishly copying the habits of the old identity until it finds another mortal to mimic. This is why I'm writing this down. The man carrying behind me wanted so badly to know what a demon thinks, wants, feels. He would document everything. Everything. He resists, a prisoner in his own house. But I already know this. The hunger for knowledge as he does, as I will. Scroll found by the body of scholar Esmer Treventio by the Templars who hunted him down. Okay. Ooh. That's a ugly looking thing. Giant. 938 Dragon, 4th Harvest Mare, continued musings on giants. I assume they encroach due to disruption of their environments. Perhaps clawing darkspawn rerouted underground waters, altering the landscape of their prey. Food is seemingly their only motivator, and I have observed them eating meat, grains, leaves, nearly anything digestible, with no care or joy for their taste or textures. So complete are their scavenging that troll might be a more academically accurate term, but I cannot blame farming folk for imposing an obvious description. Yet, are these giants merely beasts of destructive instinct? I have followed one specimen from the north, where they are somewhat more common, to winter breeding grounds, warmth for seasons, corruption of silent plains. But it followed waterways, preferring to float its bulk, but never did I see any sense in its eyes, never did it appear to have a plan beyond its immediate surroundings. But I remained intrigued, for they have hands, and that means they have the potential to raise them in praise. Throughout creation, upright beings with hands have been a sign of greater purpose. What lesson maker in these strange children I will approach tomorrow in your name. Excerpt annotated below in a different hand. Last entry in the letter was a brother Estamar, his only recovered possession, likely because they were already flat. This archivist's recommendations remind the neophytes that the tale of Sister Dariel in the wolf's den is a metaphor. I'm guessing that he got squished. Odd looking mask he's got there. Okay. Horror. Presley, whatever you do, don't get close to those red Templars with giant lumps on their backs. They can spit lyrium. You can actually see it growing as they fling it at you from their palms. One hit Hensley in the face. He'd have a mass of scars if I hadn't been there to heal his wounds as we plucked stuff out. We started to beat it down with some spells and the air went sour. I felt sick like you do when you're around too much raw lyrium. Lyra almost passed out. I grabbed her and ran. With luck, the thing found better prey than us. I never loved the Templars, but seeing them mutilated with lyrium doesn't give me any cheer. I understand why they inflict this on themselves. Gianna. So I'm guessing this was a mage, and when the Templars started using this lyrium, the mages started running. Rage Demon. Encountered in the Fade, the true form of a Rage Demon is a frightening sight, a creature of pure fire, seemingly made of amorphous lava. Its eyes pinpricks of baleful light radiating from its core. The abilities of such a demon center on the fire it generates. It burns those who come near it, and the most powerful are able to lash out with bolts of fire and even firestorms affecting entire areas. Fortunately, even powerful rage demons are less intelligent than other variants. Their tactics are simple. Attack enemies on sight with much force as possible until they perish. Some rage demons carry their heat-based abilities into possessed hosts. Otherwise, one rarely sees their true form outside the Fade unless mages specifically summon one to do their bidding. Transcript of a lecture given by Verin, Templar Commander of Tantervale 686 Steel. Red Templar Archers. Take aim, Red Lyrium isn't the weak stuff they fed you all your life. The song is deeper and it's got a will of its own. Tame it. It'll do things that Chantry's instructors never dreamed of. Listen, focus on the arrow in your hand. Pour power into it when it leaves the bow. That strength can fly across the battlefield and punch a hole through the thickest armor. Soon, you won't need to stop to hear it. Practice and the song will always be there in your blood. Fire. Red Templar Archer, instructing new recruits starting to take Red Lyrium. Okay. Red Templar Foot Soldier. Do you remember when I was tracking some mages hiding in the mountains? I found those Red Templar heretics attacking them. The Templars turned on me as well. The soldiers looked like normal men and women, but they rained down blows so hard it numbed my arm through my shield. It took me 3 minutes to kill just one, and he only stopped when I cut off his head. That's when I saw the leader, a huge, misshapen knight. He made a gesture and a streak of light streamed from him into one of the soldiers. Red lyrium burst through the soldier's back and he changed into some kind of thing that made the mages all sick. I still don't know how we survived. These mages were our children, frightened scholars, hiding from the war after the circles fell. Still, if one of them wasn't a healer, I'd have lost my sword arm. Letter from a Templar knight who had left the order to her husband. Red Templars. The Red Templars are exactly what they sound like. They are Templars who have been fed red lyrium, and the results are precisely what happened to Meredith in Kirkwall. It improves their powers, grants new ones, and increases strength beyond what a human body should bear. Over time, red lyrium will turn them into beasts. Crystals will grow inside their bodies, and even, I am told, sprouting through their heads. In the end, Red Templars will be lost, mind and soul, to roaring madness. Did the Chantry push our Templars too far, or was this break inevitable? Maker help us, I pray it was not us who drove our good knights into becoming monsters. Mother Solaris of the Grand Cathedral in a letter to a friend. Okay. Did we get all of the creatures? Yep. So we got last section is characters. Again, this is almost 100% gonna have spoilers in it. Anyway. Blackwall. I do not have much on Warden Blackwall. We know he became Constable of the Grey in Val Shevin after Ward Constable Fontaine assumed the position of Commander of the Grey from her predecessor. He also bears the Silverite Wings of Valor, and honour bestowed upon Orlesian Wardens for deeds of great daring. The details of the act for which Blackwall earned the Silverite wings, however, are sketchy. Grey Wardens hide their secrets well. The medal was likely awarded for a campaign to secure deep road entrances within Orlais shortly after the Fifth Blight. Several Grey Wardens lost their lives in that campaign. Perhaps more would be dead if not for Blackwall. According to my sources, Warden Blackwall has been travelling alone for several years now. Last anyone saw of him at the keep in Val Shevin was 937 Dragon. It had been completely abandoned along with all other Warden outposts. I believe Blackwall is as curious about this disappearance as we are. Perhaps in time we will find an answer. Liliana. Cole. His name is Cole. He's not that old, perhaps 20 years, no more. He has blonde hair that hangs in front of his eyes. He wears dirty leathers, perhaps only clothes he owns. He was there when you found Reese in the Templar crypt, but you shouldn't see him, nobody can, and those who do forget him, just like you are right now. Remember the dream. A letter allegedly written by former Knight Commander Evelyn de Brassard found in Spire after the aftermath of the Mage Uprising. So Cole had been in the Templar bit for quite a while before we got there. Interesting. Dorian Pavis. Only child and heir presumptive to the senatorial seat of Magister Hallward Pavis, Dorian came from a prestigious line of mages prominent in the coastal Tevinter city of Caranus since the late Exalted Age. At that time, the Imperium was recovering from a failed Exalted March in the Fourth Blight. Gideon Pavith arose as a voice of reason within the Magisterium. His bloc of allies convinced the Imperium not to descend upon the weakened south, to extend a hand of reconciliation to those who had once sought their destruction. That House Pavith remains standing even after Magister Gideon was tried for treason is a testament to the power he built, and, as Dorian himself would claim, an excellent example of how interests politics in Tevinter can bring low even the brightest star. A lesson he says one should never forget. Yes, I feel a bit bad for not helping him. Grand Enchanter Fiona. Grand Enchanter Fiona is considered an anomaly among mages. She is, for instance, the only member of the Circle of Magi ever to leave due to recruitment by the Grey Wardens, and then return. The circumstance of that return are largely unknown, but the notoriety she gained within the Circle allowed her to rise rapidly in the ranks. She became first Enchanter of the Montsamard Tower, and then elected Grand Enchanter at the College in Cumberland. The latter was based on her advocacy for the greater mage freedom. A view she claimed her time with the Warden supported. Urging for a vote on the matter led to the College of Enchanters' dissolution in 940 Dragon, and then, when the vote was attempted secretly, to Lord Seeker Lambert of the Seekers of Truth arresting Fiona and her fellow enchanters. Following their flight to the ruin of Andorol's Reach, the escaped mages held and passed a final vote on the Circle of Magi's independence. This began the Mage Rebellion. While Fiona no longer holds the official position of Grand Enchanter, most mages consider her an integral part of the rebellion's leadership. Hero of Ferelden. The hero of Ferelden once belonged to a clan of Dalish elves. An encounter with a tainted magical mirror corrupted the hero. Only the Grey Wardens helped the cure. To save the hero's life, the clan gave up her to the Grey Warden, Commander Duncan, and the Order. The hero fought and killed the Archdemon, dying with the ultimate sacrifice to save Ferelden. With the Archdemon gone, the Darkspawn ranks broke and the Horde was easily routed. This is interesting because I'm playing on the default world state. So defaultly, it was a Dalish elf and they died. Interesting that that's the default way for it. I guess it's the way that doesn't impact very much else. So the story won't change too much. And it won't be too extreme. Iron Bull. M, my dear friend. I completely understand the difficulty you face. To have such well-equipped bandits attacking your family's caravan so regularly and with such exquisite knowledge of your shipping schedules is indeed highly unfortunate. There's no shame at all in finding your household guards without wanting to without wanting in such trying circumstances. To answer your question, when faced with my own troubles last year, I employed the Bull's Chargers. Their leader, the Iron Bull, is Quinari, a great horned giant of a man. He looks like a savage but spoke like a gentleman. He seems unstoppable in combat, is far more clever than a simple swordsman. His mercenaries were costly, but they were both strong enough to protect my family's caravans and clever enough to discover how the bandits came into such luck in their attacks upon my family. The bandits had been no trouble at all since, and Baron of our mutually acquaintance effusively assured me that he would be greatly surprised if they ever caused us difficulty. If you wish to employ the Iron Bull, I can provide you with his contact information as well as a list of liquors he enjoys most particularly. Will your husband also be present in these negotiations, or will you be making the acquaintance of the Iron Bull in a more intimate setting? If so, we shall have to talk the next time our men go hunting. In your friendship, B. A letter in a hidden drawer in a noble woman's vanity, and copied carefully before being returned. Okay. I think we can finish this though. Lord Seeker Lucius Corrin. For months we were also certain Lord Seeker Lambert's death was an assassination carried out by mages. He had, after all, declared the Navarian Accord null and void, hurtling us headlong into a war against the rebels. Why else would he be killed except as an act of retribution? The entire Templar Order was fired up, ready to take the fight against the mages, something we were sure would be over in a matter of weeks. Thus, the election of Lucius Corrin to the role he made me despair. According to the few seekers of truth from whom I spoke, he was a moderate. He agreed to the Divine's conclave, and every Templar I knew felt certain he would compromise to see the war end. But lately, the man seems different, does he not? I never met him before he assumed command, but even in the short time his opinions on the war have turned. He did not go to the conclave he personally supported. In fact, he seems to regret supporting it at all. He talks of the Templars establishing themselves as a power in our own right, and our fellows are all too eager to listen. I don't know from where this change of heart came, but I wonder if Lambert's death wasn't as simple a matter as we assumed. Something is amiss within our order, and all I know is that it's beyond me to discover what. A letter written by an unknown Templar found in a burned out fort. 941 Dragon. Magister Geron Alexis. Lords and ladies of the Magisterium, before we vote on the budget for this latest measure against the Quinari, I would ask that we take a moment to consider the state of our institutions of higher learning. The Circle of Mintheras is more than 10,000 years old. Darnayus, the Dreamer himself, was born within these walls. It continues to be a source of wisdom and guidance for the best and brightest of Empyrean's youths, yet it falls into disrepair. Magisterium Astorius has made her case several times for increased funding to the circles, and as yet her appeals have gone unanswered. Magister Viren has spoken at length of the threats of the Oxmen in the north, a tide of brutality that we alone cannot hold back. Let me ask this. How shall we defeat the Quinari? How have we held back their advance all these long years without support from other nations of Thedas? You know the answer. Magic. It is our magic that holds the beasts at bay, and through the ingenuity of our magic, we will drive them from our shores forever. My friends and colleagues, this is the battle we prepare our apprentices, sons and daughters to face. They need the resources to discover new magic, new techniques, and that can lead us to an advantage in this endless war. They cannot do this while roofs crumble over their heads. Repair the circles, let the Imperium's future be more than a slow decline to the marching steps of the Legion. Addressed by Magister Alexis to the Magisterium, taken from the official minutes of 939 Dragon. Wow, that looks like that person looks evil. I have no idea if they are, but man, he could have got a better painter. Sarah. This report by Josephine has been defaced numerous times in a different hand. On Sarah, Red Jenny, and Velmessa lady parts have all knuckle fronts. It falls to me to comment on this Red Jenny, for as a creature of the court I must have seen the effect of her actions, although I cannot be certain. Does that make them effective or ineffective? What I know is that she has vexed city guardsmen across Thedas and always escaped. Accessing all available records, it seems clear that there have been multiple embodiments in the name, often at the same time. The limitations of communication are such that this is impossible to verify in the moment. A crude drawing of a guard with her breeches at her ankles. The severity of the attributed actions were vary widely from petty to outright vicious. While official reports label these actions unfair, I have knowledge of many named victims, and several are of suspect character. Sarah would call them something altogether untoward. Yes, mum. Shits. Lost lot of them. There are tales of Red Jenny, targeting criminals, slavers, and even assassins' guilds. The benefit of having a local is that they are invested in regional concerns, although this obviously varies. I can discern no protocol. Don't need a title to be awful and deserve it. So who is our Red Jenny? She has been amusing herself in Valrayo for some time, although it's clear from her accent that she is deeply Ferelden. She met with outright laughter my inquiry as to whether she had any special elven concerns that I could address. I have confirmed with Liliana about the danger of this group, and our estimation is that this incarnation of Red Jenny is at least a good distraction. Ah, the scary one cares. Addendum. Denerim. Sarah's claim to have lived in Denerim cannot be verified, but seems likely. The alienage there was neither stable nor secure. Many residents of the city fled the region following the Blight. Given her nature, Valrayo would have seemed rife with targets. Denerim has more than its share of suspect nobility, but most were rallied against the common enemy thanks to the efforts of the hero Ferelden. Forced to, more like. Shits and double shits. Is Sarah? Vivienne, Madame de Fer. Magic is dangerous. Just as fire is dangerous, anyone who forgets this truth gets burned. An adeus and talented scholar, Vivienne rose rapidly through the ranks of Montesmard's circle. When made a full-fledged enchanter, she elected to join the fraternity, a decision that shocked colleagues but may have been a calculated maneuver. When she successfully applied to be appointed enchanter to the imperial court, nearly every fraternity clamoured for her favour in hopes of having a representative at the empress's ear. She was voted first enchanter of Montsemard at an age young enough to cause scandal. The circle widely regards her as the most shrewd and disciplined mage in Orlais. And there she is. And I believe that we have gone through all of the ones that I've unlocked so far. So, next week we should have more. And I will see you then. Goodbye.